Welcome everyone in this new live development video about building an auto chess game. So in this video we're going to clean up a bit of the stuff we did for the multiplayer logic, because I wanted to do the I wanted to package a project and try it but it failed to work properly, because when we start the game and when we create a game it works, but we do not have an entry for our player state. So if we run another instance of the game and we find games, it's going to work. We're going to be able to join our friend like this, join success, but as you can see it doesn't create the first player state. So your own player state, it doesn't create it. As you can see, I cannot. So this is the host. I cannot check the checkbox on that player state, because this is the player state of the newly joined player, that one. So if we exit that, Alt F4, if we exit that, so we know there is a problem with our logic, and it doesn't really surprise me, because we have some kind of wait time and stuff like that, and we should not be using this. So let's press Ctrl Shift F, and we'll be looking for delay. So we want to go to our, so we don't want to see engine content. Yeah, we don't care about that. Let's go to outgame player states. So this is the first dirty thing, and we want to get rid of this, and we also want to get rid of this delay, and everything else we have dirty here. So first, how can we handle the fact that when the spawn player state are not quite valid yet? I think we're just going to build a logic in the player controller. Not that one. Oh well, maybe the player controller, because we have, yeah, we're going to do this to open that player state, that player controller, the parent, and it's going to have a function named record player state, which is going to take a player state as parameter in player state, and it's going to receive all the information about the player state, and it's going to handle them and store them and tell them if they are local or not. So we don't want player state in here, we want our own player state, so auto battler player state. We really want the auto battler player state, the parent, and not the child class. And we want to open that up and to create a new variable there, be local player state, like this. It's going to be false by default. So when we record a player state, we want to know if our own player state is actually valid for now. If it's not, we're going to store this player state into an array of player states, pending player states, and we're going to remove that variable, make that an array, and add this in the array like that. We're going to add a unique, it doesn't matter, we can just add like this. So we want to be recording that player state. So what do we want to do? If it's valid, if our own player state is valid, we're going to check if the player state we are using, we just connected, is our own player state, and we're going to set local player states in here like this. So if it is the same, it's a local player state. If it isn't, it means it's not local, obviously. But this one is not if it's not valid, we're going to have a bunch of player states to check. So how are we going to do this? This one is going to have to use, so in the parent class of our player state, we're going to call the parent here, just for the sake of not breaking the logic. And if we open up our parent player state, when it begins, it wants to get the first player controller, because this is always going to be on client machine. There's only one player controller, so this is always going to going to work on clients, and I believe on server. So on server there are all players controllers alive, but I think the 0 is always the server player controller. And we're actually going to put that in a function which is record to controller. We're going to plug that in here, cast that into our auto battler player controller, not the out game, and we're going to call record player state on ourselves like this. So I think it's always going to be valid, that one. It should, because when that spawns we necessarily have a player controller alive in the game. So when this spawns, this is calling this, and it's checking if it has pending player states. I mean, it's checking if the player state is valid. If not, it's storing these into like a queue of player states. So we now have to retrieve the event when the player state is valid. Do we have something like this? If we type in player state, what do we have here? Do we have something to override? No, we don't. So I think that's not the proper way to do that. Well, actually we don't have the choice. When the player state spawns, yeah, we don't have the choice to use some kind of delay logic there. Get player states. We're going to build a function check for player states. I don't have better solution there. So if it's not valid, we're going to set timer by event, which is going to rerun that event. Check for player states in like 0.1 second. So it's going to rerun that, and when it's valid we're going to loop through our player states and we're going to record them all. So when we do this, clients are going to everyone is going to have their player state tagged the proper way to check if they are local or not. So we're going to create a little function that does this in the auto battler game state. Is local states player states, which is going to be pure and just return our boolean for now. I think it's always going to return our boolean like this. And now we want to do something like, so we don't want to do this anymore, and in here we were actually, what were we doing? So we were getting the out game menu out of our, so yeah, that's a function, so we're going to remove that from the function just to better see what we've done. So apparently we were calling that elsewhere, yeah, in here. So what were we doing? We were tweaking we were calling stuff on the lobby browser, on the multiplayer lobby, I mean. So, and we were waiting to see if the player state is local or not. And it wasn't even working, I think. So when do we want to do this? We want to do this when we receive that event, when this is ready. So we're going to collapse that to a function, I guess, and call this, and what do we want to do? Basically it's like we have the information that everyone currently in the game is we have the information of everyone currently in the game. On player states ready, I guess. For now we're just going to call that like this, and we're going to once again promote that, collapse that to a function, and call this record pending player states. We want to cut that on player states ready. And now if we are if we are out game, we want to override on player states ready. We want to call the parent. We want to grab our multiplayer lobby. Not that one. Get the multiplayer lobby. And we want to create, and for each player states we want to create an entry. We want to tell the multiplayer lobby that someone connected. So yeah, we on player states ready. So when we record the player states, so first we want to go here and override record player state. We want to call the parent. We want to check if it's I wonder if I think we need to check if this is going to return a value, a boolean recorded like this. So back in here we cannot do that here. We want to override on player states recorded. We don't want to override this actually. Record player state. Oh, I thought we were going to crash, but we didn't. So we want to create only if we recorded the state. We want to create an entry for him like this, and is itself we're going to check get player name out of the player state like this, and is locally. Oh, we just have to check in here now. Is local player state like this. So we should be in our outgame player state. The last thing we were doing was to bind something to the fact that people said they are ready. So we're just going to check if it doesn't create our player state entry anymore. And what happens if we say to the game that we are currently in multiplayer? It doesn't create anything. So what did we do wrong here? So we'll check our logic once again. So when a player state spawns, it says record to controller. So we have that, and when we find the game, we only have one. The client doesn't have one for him. And that's because its name wasn't valid, I think. I think his name was not valid. If we check in here, I mean in the record player state in our outgame controller, I think get player name returned return true, return nothing, empty text. Yeah, so we have an empty text right there. We do not, so it's not empty. And when we try to join, it's going to return one empty text. Yeah. So the server, and it doesn't even run. We should have three prints there, and we don't. Because the client should be performing that function twice. And the server once. We're just going to make it so multiplayer. So yeah, faster to test. So the client doesn't create his own. Why doesn't it? So record to controller. So that's, I think this might not be working. So we're starting to have a bunch of stuff there, which we don't want. Record player state, we don't want that for now. So they are all printing, so it's not the case. I mean, this is not returning false. So this is sending that here. The player state is not valid, we're going to record it. And when this is valid. Oh, okay. Check for player state, we never called that. Yeah, I think we never called that, and we didn't re-enable our print in here, current feeders. It's still returning. We still don't have the proper amount of prints there. We should have 4. So why? Wait, yeah, I know why. Because we're not calling our parent there. In our auto battler outgame controller, we are not calling our parents, which means this is not being called. And we have 4 prints, and the server is returning null on one of them. So what are we printing? We are printing the name, if I remember correctly. Yep. Hence why we have an empty stuff in here. So if the name is not valid, I think check for player state is also going to check if get player name if get player name is valid. No, I mean if it's equal nothing. It's not equal nothing. It's going to say that player states are ready. If not, they are not. If we hit play, it doesn't yeah, it doesn't work. How strange. So when your player state is ready, we record. I think that's because, okay, I know why. I think we need to add another variable to our auto battler player state, which is, oh no, we don't want to delete, which is be ready. By default it's not ready. So when checking if it's local, we're going to ask if it's both ready and I mean no, not at all. We're not doing this. So record to controller, record player states. So what do we actually want to do here? Oh no, we can't use that ready stuff. The thing is, we still have this because it's our own player state that we wait to see if it has a name. It's not the player state of the others. Oh yeah, I know how. Outgame auto battler player state, we are not going to record ourselves to our controller as long as our player name is not going to be valid. So we're going to have check for player name the same way we had for not equal nothing, like this. If it's different, we're going to record to our controller. If it is not, we're going to set timer by events to recheck every 0.1. Check for player name like this, and we're not even going to need ready. Local player state, record, blah blah blah. So yeah. So check for player name. It's going to record only when the player name is valid. And now we don't have any... Oh yeah, because we're not calling this. Check for player name. And now it seems to be working better. And what else did we want to do? Oh yeah, and we can... I want to better see if what is my own... Oh, he's going to start the game. I don't want that. Oh no, because we disconnected that. I want to better see if I'm local or not on the multiplayer lobby. So on player connects, if it is self, set is enabled, but I also want to change the color. Set get text player name, set color. We want to make a slate color, we want to select, we want to use that pin. So if it's self, it's going to be green, if not, it's going to be white. Yep. Better. What if we are not... what if we are not in multiplayer by default? Create game, find games. I should add an S to that. Well, actually not. So yeah, it seems to be working better. So what else do we want to do? We want to fix the fact that we broke the ready system. So we were binding ourselves to check if everyone ready. So what were we doing? Be ready 0. Yeah. We failed that. We created a variable there called ready, and the child classes will already add a ready system, and it should not be there actually. Oh yeah, that's if the player is ready. So I think it should be there indeed. Player ready. We're going to compile this. And it's only the server which is going to check anything there. I don't even know if we need this or not. We want to check where we are using this exactly. So we're just going to remove this. Go back there, remove this, remove the... No, not remove the player ready. Remove unready toggle. And just open up our widgets, outgame, browser, lobby, player entry. How does it... So it's telling its player state. Yeah, okay. So that logic is correct. The way we can change if we are ready or not, but when it changes, multiplayer lobby. set player ready, set is checked, so that's correct as well. We want to tell everyone that and we call him by his name and we tell him if he's ready. I think we want to keep this. We're going to collapse that to a function, update ready player ready checkbox. Not player, entry. Like this. So if we do this, we'll still have, I want to say that we are always in multiplayer now. So if we check, we still see that. And I think the server wants to check. So if we have authority, so if we are on server, we want to check if everyone is ready. And where did we put that? I think we put that in the game system players, game state I mean. Or maybe in the out game mode. Yeah. On player ready. Yeah. Where was it being called already? So we removed that. Check for player states. So that's a new. That's not what we were looking for. So it's never being called. So we basically want to call it in here when this is being called. We want to get the game mode, cast it to out game auto battler mode, and set player ready on player ready. Like this. We want to get the player name and we want to get ready. Like this. If we hit play, it's not going to start. Oh yeah, it's going to start, but it's not. That one did not. That one wasn't. Yeah, I think I know why. Because we are starting in multiplayer. I think it doesn't like it. So I'm always opening our game instance. So I'll just add that to our favorite. Like this. We're not in multiplayer. I think that was the case last time. That was the bug. And if we check the checkbox by default and we join afterwards, it's not going to be checked. So we have to make it so it works. So yeah, okay, that just came from, oh, and we have errors. I think that might be coming from the fact that we start in multiplayer. We did not start in multiplayer. And we have errors. Well, we'll deal with them later. So first, the fact that the checkbox wasn't checked yet, so we just have to say that when we create our player entry, so when we actually we want the outgame player state. Yeah, that's where we were. Where do we add the entry yet? I thought it was there. I might have. Oh yeah, that's in out game player controller. My bad, obviously. So when we record the player state, we are saying on player connect, and I think we need to check if this guy is ready. So we want to cast that into outgame player state. And if that guy is ready, we want to pass that in there. So we want another function called be already ready. Be ready. Like this, and we want to plug that in here. And we want to set is checked. We want to set player ready. Yeah, we want to set player ready. Like this. So it should work now. If we create a game, set ready, find games. Yeah, he's already ready. That's what we wanted. He's no longer ready. He's ready. He's ready. They are all ready. So it's not showing the fact that he's ready because we are starting the game. So it stops updating, and it can even break the client machine. Considers that the server left the game, so it removes the check from the arrow box. And that's something we can counter by sending everyone into a loading screen, but we won't be doing this in that video. So access none, trying to read property widget entry. So I think this comes from the fact that we are calling a logic when the server calls start game. So I think the server is just going to check. So I'm in out game mode. I don't want that. I want to be in the out game player state. In here, if we are the server, we are going to check if the player is ready. Update entry ready box. We should not be doing that if we are launching the game. This is what is creating the bug, I think. The error. But first I want to check if we have delays somewhere else. In the else bar, in the battlefield, in the unit, we're not going to fix them for now. And we don't have any more delays in our multiplayer logic, we just have that error remaining. So I think we're going to fix it in that video. So when they are ready, we update their entry, but they are not valid. I think we can just say, I think if we say if you are valid, we're not going to have any errors. We'll check that. Do we have the errors now? No, we do have the errors when we actually start the game. I'm ready. Is ready. It removed the checkbox, and we no longer have the error. And I just want to make sure that the arrow box is being removed, even if I checked it. So it says it's ready, and it doesn't remove the. Okay, so we don't have any bugs anymore. We are fine. So we are fine. Oh, we have errors. Set player ready. So access node widget entry. So we're just say if this is not valid. Okay, I know why it's throwing errors. So it's asking to set player ready, but the widget entry is already being destroyed by the map change. So on player connect. So I think this is being called one way or another. No, this is being called. So our player controller is still valid. and we ask him to set player ready. Yeah, I guess if we say that, and where else should we need to add valid? Set player ready set is checked. Okay, I think that's the same error. So create game, find game, checked, checked. Let's go. No errors this time. Yep, no errors. So I guess we can wrap up that video. Hope you guys enjoyed it and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.